Hi everyone and welcome back. In this video, we'll be discussing on how we can get started with using version control. But before that, let's take a moment to understand what version control is. Basically, version control systems are essential tools that track changes in files over time. And this provides a rewind button for project history. Initially, before version control came to be, many of us manage versions manually, like when using Microsoft Word, when we have to save new version with slightly different names. While this method suffices for solo work, it becomes chaotic in a team setting. And which is one of the key reasons why we have to understand and learn about version control. Now, when it comes to version control, there are a number of version control systems out there, and this alone should prove that version control is incredibly important. Three of the most popular version control systems are Git, Subversion, and Mercurial. Now, there are two main types of version control system model, which are the centralized model and distributed model. Now, for the centralized model, this basically implies all users connect to a central slash master repository. While in the distributed model, each user has the entire repository on their computer. And let's take a moment to understand the details between each model. So, for centralized version control system, they are based on the idea that there is a single central copy of a project somewhere, probably on a server, and programmers will commit their changes to this central copy. The committing in the sentence here simply means recording the change in the central system. Now, when this is done, other programmers can then see this change. They can also pull down the change, and the version control tool will automatically update the content of any files that were changed. Now, while in distributed version control system, they do not necessarily rely on a central server to store all the versions of the project files. Instead, every developer clones a copy of a repository and has the full history of the project on their own hard drive. This copy or clone has all the metadata of the original project. Now, if you take a look at the image on my screen, on the left hand side, we have the centralized model, which basically means every user connects to a central virtual control system server where all versions are stored for a particular project. While in the distributed model, it basically implies that every user has a full copy of the project on their local machine. So now, in conclusion, remember that the main point of a version control system is to help you maintain a detailed history of the project, as well as the ability to work on different versions of it. Having a detailed history of a project is super important because it lets you see the progress of the project over time. If needed, you can also jump back to any point in the project to recover data or files, which is why in this course we'll be using Git, which is a distributed version control system. So, see you in the next one, and thank you.